Can you hear me now? Oops. Let me know if you can hear me now. I think you should be able now. I've had to switch to a different setting. It's getting really warm here. Ooh, the studio lights are really, really hot. I'm just going to wait a moment to see if you can hear me. Oh, fabulous. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Good. Thank you for the hint that you can't hear me. Everything's sorted now. Fabulous. So we can get started. Lovely to have you with me. Hello, fabulous, lovely. Hi Dee, hi Caroline, hi Theo, hi Anne, hi Michelle, hi Jill, hi Janice. Did I miss anyone? No, I don't think I missed anyone. Fabulous. Lovely to have you with me. We've got 19 of you here already. It's 4 minutes past 5, so we're going to get started. Okay, I really wanted to do this demo. I'm sorry if you can see a little bit of a flashback from the bulb, but this is my studio lights, because obviously it's getting dark so early now. I need to get a bit more light. I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat to make sure that. Oh, thank you, Michelle. That's lovely. Yeah, I had fun on Hochanda yesterday. Okay, so what we're going to do, and what I'm going to do today, I wanted to do this video as a introduction to Foamiran. Because quite a few people would like to try Foamiran but don't really know what to start, and you kind of start with a blank sheet of foam, and what do you really like, what do you really do with it? I think that's a question some of you are asking. Hi Wendy. So I thought it's a really good idea to do a little demo, or maybe even a big demo rather than a little demo. So I am all ready with my die cut stuff. So let's just start with a few basics. If you already know this, and I know there are some of you have done some beautiful Foamiran things already, then please bear with. But I do really want this to be quite comprehensive. So what is Foamiran? Foamiran is a flower making foam that has been it is manufactured in Iran by a company called Foamiran. And they do all sorts of foams. That was a firework. They do all sorts of foam, not only flower making foam, but flower making foam is the most popular product at the moment. Hi Janice. It is, the foam is 0.6 millimeter in thickness. It's very different to anything you might have worked with before, unless obviously you worked with Foamiran. It is very, very thin, and it is very pliable, and this responds really well to heat. And Foamiran specifically, that Foamiran as a company makes, is best worked with heat. There are some other foams that you don't need to use heat on, but on Foamiran you don't have to use heat, but it's just easy on your fingers, and particularly when I do scrunching and all those motions, I find it much easier to work with heat, because then it is much more pliable, at least in my mind. Okay, so it die cuts beautifully, and you can obviously hand cut it into a shape of a petal, or into a shape of a petal or leaf. But you are much better to use die cutting forms and your die cutting machine if you have it, because it just makes the process so much quicker. And what you can do, you can cut several layers at the same time. You can see my shadow. I'm going to sit down. Yes, I'm going to sit down here. Fabulous. Okay, so there are lots and lots of different dies on the market. Some of them have been created before Foamiran came to be, whilst others have been created specifically for Foamiran. When you're buying a die, I would suggest that you buy one that is specifically made for Foamiran. The reason why is because it will hopefully have big enough space around center that you can easily thread your stamens through and not worry that you're going to rip it really easily. So that would be my advice. However, if you have some other dies that you already have in your stash, then try to work with them and see if you can make it work. Everything is a possibility, and it's all a trial and error. So what do you actually need to make Foamiran flowers? You need the foam. So you need sheets of foam. So this is just a 12 by 12 sheet cut in half, actually several of them, because I was just cutting them to do a few layers. You will need dies, or you can hand cut it. So obviously I'm going to show you the Craftbox dies, but as I said, there are many on the market. So we have poinsettia, we had wildflower, we had rose, we have lily, we also have daisy and holly. So we have 6 already. If you wanted to colour your flowers, you will need some inks or oil pastels. They will work as well. Some kind of blending foam with which you can apply those inks or oil pastels. So mine is quite knackered, but it still works just fine. And also, what is a really good idea, it's a really good idea to have some flower shaping tools. These are very inexpensive, and you've got 20% off on Craftbox website for everything Foamiran at the moment, so they're even cheaper. You'll also need some stamens, and stamens come in all different shapes and forms, light, darks, larger, smaller, berry, all different sorts. So you'll also need those, and you're also gonna need a little bit of a wire, and that is to thread the stamens through. Okay, so oh, and if you want to, you may also add some centers to your flowers, and there can be all sorts of gems, polaris stones, druzy stones, etc, etc. So these things you're gonna need. Now when it comes to tools, okay, I'm just gonna switch my iron on. It's been violently dropped by Hochanda team yesterday, so fingers crossed it works. You are going to need, let me just get that out. You are going to need an iron. You can use normal domestic iron on a wool setting, or you can use a craft iron. I would suggest that because you will probably be inking your flowers, that you invest in iron to to use just specifically with your flowers. But you can use domestic iron, just maybe don't use inks on it, because then you may have ink on your white shirt, on your yours or your husband's white shirt. I'm saying your husband's because I actually don't do any ironing. It's all my husband. Another thing is a hot glue gun. This is a hot glue gun that I've been given by Hochanda to promote during their shows. But I have to say I do really like it, because I am very prone to injuries, and I have scars to prove it, like this one. This one is actually much. I find it, because it's shielded, it doesn't get that hot. Actually, saying that, this one got really hot. So, but I'm just thinking it works fine. Okay, so these are the things you're going to need. You may want to use an orange wood stick as well, just to put your foam on the iron. I'll try without, because I didn't bring it and I don't really want to keep you waiting. So, how to do your basic flowers. How to start with Foamiran flowers. Okay. To start with, you're going to need to cut out a flower. I'm just gonna move this to the side. Do you know what? We're going to do a coloured one, and I'm going to use these ones to then keep for some colouring. So one of my favourite colours of foam is this one. I think it's called is it called indigo? Is it called Indian red? I'm not 100% sure, but it is one of those new colours, and it's kind of like a violet in shade. So I'm just picking the flowers. Someone is really going for the fireworks today. Oh yeah, because it's firework night. Gosh, I completely missed. I thought it was yesterday, because obviously we had fireworks yesterday as well. Okay, so we're going to start with this. I'm going to do 4 petal flower, and we're just going to start with some basic techniques. Okay, so you can see this is ever so thin, very thin. I am going to zoom in because I want you to see and benefit from this as much as you can. So I'm going to zoom in like this. Now I've been eating lots of walnuts, so forgive my brown fingers. And fresh walnuts. Don't you just love fresh walnuts? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take one of the petals, and we're going to take our iron, and I'm just going to have to try to stretch the cord as much as I can. You're going to apply to your iron, and when it starts kind of curling, popping up, and it literally takes seconds, then it's ready to work with. Okay, I probably overheated this one a little bit too much, but there are some techniques where you can use this to your advantage. Obviously you'll be doing this a bit quicker to what I'm doing now, because you know, I'm trying to demo this. So you're going to fold it. Okay, let's just do the fold again. You're going to fold it in half and fold it in half again, and then that little petal here, I'm just going to move this aside so you can see, that little petal is going to be folded on top. Okay, there are two different like basic scrunching techniques you can do. One of them is you're going to roll this one and then start rolling in your fingers. If you find this difficult, and if your fingers hurt, for example, you know, I'm heading towards 40, I've got arthritis already. So what we can do also, you can just do this on the palm of your hand, and that makes it easy as well. Okay, what you're going for this really scrunched up look. It zoomed in for a second and then just decided to go away. You're going for this really scrunched up look, and you're going to do this with all the petals. Hi Sandra! So you're going to do this with the petal number 2 as well. I'm just going to apply it to my iron, and when it kind of starts bubbling up, I'm going to take this off, and then again fold it in half, and just tuck that 5th one, and then just give it a bit of a roll. Okay, I definitely have it looks like I've been digging ditches, because walnuts, fresh walnuts have that dye in them. I don't know if you know, but walnuts have the walnut stain or dye from the actual walnuts. It's used in the self-tanning lotions. So when you eat fresh walnuts, they stain your fingers really bad. So it's actually having like self-tanned skin on your fingers. Anyway, so I've scrunched this one already. Thanks, Dee. Dee just made a comment about the workshop. Bless you. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm just going to add this one as well to the iron, and I'm just going to keep one petal, and then fold these ones. Gosh, do you guys have fireworks at the moment? We've got some proper fireworks going, and we only are just a small village. Okay, so scrunching this one. So this is, as I said, going to be 4-layer flower, and then this one as well. Okay, as I said, use orange wood stick ideally, and then we will fold this one as well. It just, when you apply heat to your Foamiran, it just makes it so much easier to work with, specifically when you deal with 0.6 thickness. There's also 0.8 thickness, and you know, you can do the same things as you can do with 0.6. You can stretch it, and you can, you know, it is very pliable as well, but just much more sturdy, just takes so much more force to work with. Okay, now the unraveling. When you have your petals scrunched up, they look like this. I'm just going to put it this side. They look like this. So you can already see that it starts looking really pretty. What you're going to do, you're going to put 2 fingers inside of the petal, okay? And you're going to stretch this. Alright, here you go. Here we go. You're going to stretch the bottom of the petal. You don't want to stretch the whole thing. You don't want to stretch the entire petal, because you want to keep the definition of the tip, okay? So stretching, stretching, stretching. Okay, here we go. Now you can do this also with the tools, and that's where the tools come really handy, and you can get to that point when you're gonna get some really beautiful definition. So pick the tool that is right to the size of your petal, place it at the bottom of your petal. So remember, we want to keep the definition of the tip, okay? And then stretch very gently. Just stretch this foam on the actual tool. Here we go. Hi Pam. Okay, so we're stretching just the kind of bottom to middle side part of the petal on our bowl tool. And you've got 4 of them in a pack. I believe they're 5.80, 20% off. take advantage. We're moving into the new office very soon, and you know, the more we can sell at the moment, the more we can send off to you, the better for us when we move. Otherwise it's going to be quite tricky. When you have that done, what you can do is you can take the other side of the tool, the smaller side, so you've got a bigger side and a smaller side, and then just press this in the middle. I press it in the palm of my hand. It's quite handy when you have a squashy hand like I do. And then look at this. I'm just gonna take some paper, and I really want to zoom in. I want to show you what you're going to end up with. Okay, so here we go. Everything beautifully shaped, and when you turn this over, you can see all that work that you have put in this. Okay, here we go. So that was petal number 1. Already really beautiful. We will do the same with the other 3, and obviously we're going to be adjusting the size of our tools. I'm just going to put this aside. Adjusting the size of our tools. So I'm just going to quickly stretch the bottom. If you guys have Foamiran already, you can try this with me. Okay, stretch the side of the bottom size of the petal. That is side of the petal, bottom side of the petal. And then do exactly the same with the other 2. Okay, here we go, and then the other one, and then we will use the tool to define it. Here we go. Hi BJ. Hi. Okay, right, so again with the tool goes at the bottom, kind of bottom to the middle of the petal. Let me just move these to the side. I want you to have like a nice light background. Just pop that down, pop that down, pop that one, and then that one. Okay, and then I will squash the center with the tool. Here we go. Here we go. That's one. And then for the smaller size petal, I'm going to use a different tool. And again, as I said, you've got 4 in a pack, so it's not that, you know, you need to buy every single one separately. All your tools come together. It's solid metal. They'll last you forever. Once you have them, you have them, unless you lose them. I'm very prone to losing my tools. And then they're really conveniently paired up, so you get smaller and larger on one tool, so you don't have to worry about it at all. Okay, and then move to this one. This one. Okay, easy. All nicely stretched in the center. Give it a little squash. Now this is where your glue gun comes in. Okay, I am going to put another stick. Maybe not yet. Okay, with your glue gun, what you're going to do now, there are some useful hints and tips here. All right, I am going to put a little dab of glue just off center of the petal. Okay, I put a little bit on the petal by mistake, but that's fine. It's not going to show too much. I'm going to then place the second petal more or less in the center, but I want to offset them, so I don't want them to put directly on top of each other. I just want them to be offset, so to fill in the gaps. Okay, you can see that I'm not putting glue directly in the center. The reason why is because you are going to be pulling the stamens through, and when you're pulling the stamens through a lot of glue, that's very difficult, or sometimes even impossible. So try to put your glue in different places, in different parts of the petal, rather than in the actual very center. This is very, very pretty. Some dogs are barking, bless them. It's probably quite hard on the dogs and cats. For some reason Nessa is quite unfazed by these. Okay, and I'm just going to put this one in the center as well. Now you have your flower. It starts to look like a flower. It's beautifully shaped. And I'm going to take some stamens, and I'm going to take some of those darker pink ones. Not a huge amount, more or less that many. You can go for two looks. You can either have them not aligned like I have them now, or you can have them nicely aligned, and then they will be kind of perfect and even. I am going to go for kind of perfect and even, or even-ish. Okay, now you're going to take a little bit of wire, a little bit of copper wire or any other type of wire. What colour Foamiran is that, Anna? I think this is Indian red. Pam, I think so. But it is definitely a new colour. And then I'm going to take the stamens and I'll kind of thread them like I would be threading them through the pin. Yeah, and then I will take the end of my wire and then pierce the center of my flower with this wire wherever the stamen is going to go. It will go through really, really easily. You can see all that stretching just added a beautiful, beautiful definition to the flower. And then when I have them in the center, I'm going to pull them through. Now you do have to apply quite a lot of force, okay? And just going to pull them like that. Those stamens are lovely. Are they on the website? Yes, they are. There is a tiny bit of a tiny bit of weight, but I'm going to send your order first, and then the stamens will just go in a small envelope when they arrive. They are on the way, and they're arriving from China via DHL. So yeah, so we are gonna have them very soon. Here you go. Here is a beautiful, beautiful, really nicely defined flower. Okay, we just created together. Now, if you wanted to make it a flat flower, I personally don't care about about it sticking out. What I tend to do, let me just show you quickly. I tend to flatten this out and maybe put a little bit of foam at the bottom. Now you can also, if you really want this more flat. Oh, that's going to be fun today. I should turn the camera around if it wasn't pretty much stuck in place. What you can do, you can cut this in the middle. Remember, this is just a loop. So you can cut this in the middle, spread it, put some hot glue in the center, and then stick a little bit of foam, okay? And this would just make it much more flat. So this is one of the flowers. It's ever so effective. You can see, let me just zoom in. I really want to show you the definition of this. So I'm just going to show this to you. Here we go. As I said, the shiny part is the bit of a glue where I put it in. But you can see all that definition specifically on the bottom petals. You can see how beautiful that looks. It's almost like a little lily, even though it's not lily. These have been created using the wildflower dye. This has been created using wildflower dye. All right. Thank you, Anasbu. Can I add this to my earlier order, please? Pam, yes, of course you can. Absolutely. Absolutely, you can, Pam. And if you do it now, if you do it now after the show, I'm gonna refund the shipping. Okay, here you go. So that's that. Now, I did get quite a lot of requests about making a rose, Sandra. So I am definitely going to make a rose this time. The second flower I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to show you how to make a poinsettia, because obviously we are very Christmassy at the moment. There are quite a few poinsettia dyes on the market at the moment, or altogether. Now, at Craftbox we also have our own poinsettia dye. The dyes we have, all of them have been created in collaboration with Foamiran. So they are, they are official Foamiran dyes, but they are dyes like any other dyes. And we have the poinsettia one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one poinsettia just to show you how easy it is to make and how beautifully you can adore your Christmas cards, for example. So the process is exactly the same. We're going to take an iron. I'm very soft-spoken today. I don't know if I went into my usual, hi everyone! Anyway, sorry if I just scared you with this highly pitched noise of mine. Right, okay, poinsettia. Same drill. On the iron, take it off. Fold it in half. Fold it in half again. The fifth petal just goes somewhere like that, okay? Roll it. And scrunch it. For poinsettia, we really want this nicely scrunched. And I would say you'd probably, poinsettia is a very economical flower, or rather leaf, to make from Foamiran, because if you wanted to, you can only do like one larger petal and one smaller petal. I tend to go for 2 larger and 1 smaller, or 2 larger and 2 smaller. So we will see how we get on. We may just do 2 larger and 1 smaller. Okay, so that's that. I will do the same with the other one. Just let it sit on the iron for a moment and then take it off quickly. And whilst it's still warm, fold, start rolling. Whilst it's still warm, just to get all the benefits. BJ, of course you can do it. You can totally do this. It's just a little bit of practice. When I first started, it was a bit of a disaster. And I'm no master in this. I do enjoy. I really enjoy doing this. I could probably teach like beginner to intermediate level, but there are some proper masters of this beautiful trade, and it's just so beautiful. And I have seen there was a seller on Amazon that was selling these Foamiran flowers, not these, but for really pretty, like the big roses. And they're selling them for nearly £40 a rose. I don't know if they were actually successful in selling those, but I have seen the flowers being sold for a lot of money. Okay, so just going to grab that. Grab the small one. Just apply it to my iron. I hope you can see that. Come on. Just got stubborn. As I said, orange wood stick is your friend. I may actually get some and put on a website because it's just safe on your fingers. Okay, here we go. That's the last one. Again, exactly the same scrunching motion. I'm going to show you, without actually making a flower, I'm going to show you another scrunching motion. I'm going to show you on one petal, and I'm going to show you final flower, just so not to delay. Because I also want to show you the colouring, and I want to show you how to make a tea rose. So with this one, what you're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to stretch the bottom of the petal just a little bit. If you tear one petal, don't worry, just make this your bottom petal, and then use the other one to overlap and just cover the tear. That's what I tend to do. I've torn quite a few of them, and it happens. It will happen to the best of us. I've seen real pros tearing the Foamiran, because it's just sometimes, Foamiran may be just slightly weaker in one part, and no matter how much experience you have, no matter how much, how little force you put, sometimes it may just go. So I'm just putting the last one in. This one stretches beautifully though, really nice. Okay, hot glue gun. You can already see that it starts to look like poinsettia, right? So you're going to apply a little bit of glue, just somewhere a little bit off center, because we are going to be putting stamens through. We're going to put that one down, and then put that one just somewhere again off center. Beautiful poinsettia. It's so easy to make these, like in bulk with dyes, because you just put a few, and just cut a few at the same time. You can cut it with the die, just push it through your die cutting machine, and it's all done in no time. And then 3, just quickly scrunch. You can even give to your kids or grandkids to help you scrunch it. Ever so easy. On my Christmas cards, if I actually have the time, I might do it. We're gonna take a little bit of a break from during Christmas, so we're not actually going to be doing lots of craft book stuff for about 2 weeks. Give everyone a bit of a rest, because it's gonna be a very busy beginning of the year. But before that, I've got some really nice surprises for you before that. Anyhow, moving on. I've lost my wire, guys. Oh, here we go. Found it. Right, so I've got the green stamens. Again, the same trick. Hi. Hi Deborah, welcome. I'm glad you'll be showing us colouring. I'm really rubbish at that. It's very simple. I am going to show you, Pam, don't you worry. I'm just going to move on to this after I finish this bad boy here. Okay, so here we go. Now we also have a holly dye, and with holly it's really simple. You can heat it up, you don't have to. I'm just going to show you that you don't actually have to heat it up, and because holly folds so well and it goes really thin, it makes it much easier. I'm just going to roll it in my fingers and then just gonna unravel, stretch a little bit. Just want to keep that holly, holly pointness and shape. Get that through. You see, the way I've designed those dies is that you have big enough space, so when you start putting all the stamens through, all those really, bulky ends of the stamens, it will it will not tear the whole petal so that it just falls off your flower. That was one of the key things. That was one of the changes I've made in the initial designs. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to pull that through. Lovely. And here we go. Beautiful poinsettia. You can take a little bit of hot glue, add at the bottom of it, just to just to secure that holly in place. Isn't that beautiful? It's just already super quick, and it's all ready for you. Okay, so that was poinsettia. So look, we've already made those two. Very similar yet so different. Really lovely. Okay. Oh, I want to play now. Don't have any Foamiran. Dawn, we have 20% off Foamiran on the website. Put your order in, and we're going to be sending it very, 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 very quickly. We're going to be sending it Monday or Tuesday, so you can have it as early as Wednesday. Okay, so that was the other one. Now I'm going to show you two things that you definitely, I'm sure you want to see. I'm going to be showing you. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to be showing you colouring, and I'm going to be showing you tea rose. So those two things have been something that was so highly requested. So let's show you colouring and tea rose. In fact, I can probably show you this on one flower. So I will do a coloured tea rose. Okay. What I mean by tea rose, let me just grab an example. Okay, I'm just grabbing an example from my box that I tend to take to Hochanda. What I mean by tea rose is something like this. Every time I make one, it comes out different. And I tend to make them in, there are two different ways to make them. Some of them will be like tea roses, like these ones, and some of them will be will have slightly differently curled petals. I will show you both, and I'll show you how to make them. What is the technique to make them? Okay, and I also need to show you a different scrunching technique, but that's fine. Okay, right, let's try this. The tea rose, surprise, surprise. Whoa, where did you go? My camera decided to offset itself. Hold on. That's better. Okay, the tea rose, surprise, surprise, are made with a wildflower dye. Okay, and the other, because the actual rose dye makes slightly different shaped dyes. So I'm going to be showing you quite a few of those. Okay, question. If getting a glue gun, try to get one with a precision tip. You'll have more control. Yes. Coloured tea rose, beautiful. Okay, I'm just reading your comments. Fabulous. Okay, so we will do coloured tea rose. I am going to make it. How about a vintage colour? Now, I really, 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 really love. I really love this colour of foam. It's one of my favourite to make any type of vintage flowers. This one is called Blackberry Yogurt. It is on the website as well. But I'm going to be using this dye. I'm going to be using wildflower dye because we want to make slightly different shapes. Now I'm just going to have a quick look see if I have enough of the pointy ones. If not, I can always just colour some, so it's not the end of the world. Okay, I'm going to use some of the lighter maybe as well. Let me just organise myself just to make sure that I've got enough stuff. Okay, is that it? Got some other ones. Right, so we have two of the big ones, and then two of the some smaller ones. I'm just making sure I've got enough petals for this operation here. Okay, I should be okay, but I'm going to be colouring them, so I should be alright. Yeah, okay. I've die cut quite a big batch, and now I need to organise them in somewhere I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so what you're going to need, is you're going to need about 6 petals. They would be ideally of the same size, and you would use all the same size throughout your entire flower. I haven't cut enough for this, so I'm just going to be using some different shades, but I'm going to colour them, so hopefully it shouldn't make a huge difference. If it will, it's just going to be, you know, like a really nice coloured rose. We will see how it's going to turn out. Now I am using what's the name of the dye? I am using the wildflower dye for this. I'm just going to move this aside because I'm ready, she says. Okay, so I have ivory colour, I have 2 peach, if you were wondering what are the differences between the colours, and I have 2 blackberry yogurt, one of my favourite, absolute favourite one. Okay, right, so I am going to be using some of the inks to colour, and we will see how it's going to turn out. You can colour with oil pastels. So maybe some of the petals I will colour with one, and some of the kettles. What is going on with this woman? Some of the petals I'm going to colour with the other. Right, because I think I'm going to need yellow from the oil pastel. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to use some ink and oil pastel on the same flower. What a rebel. Okay. So you'll take your petal, and I'm going to take the ink. This one is Hampton Art, if you were wondering, and the colour is No Name. I'm afraid it doesn't have a colour on the thingy. I am going to take a sponge. I do wet it. I've got a little dish with a little bit of water there. I do wet it a little bit. And what you're going to do, you're going to add the ink to the petal. Now don't worry if it's really strong to start with, because you are going to blend it, so don't worry. You can take the other part of your sponge and then just blend it out. You see, now you want the color to be nice and smooth, but do remember you are going to be manipulating the foam as well, or some of it anyway. Okay, if you're making a rose, like a tea rose for example, you may want to add this to the you may want to do this on both sides. So I'm just going to do exactly the same on the other side. So this is how you colour it, and I'm going to take the oil pastel in a second, and I'm going to show you how to do this as well. But I will just first kind of blend the colour out. I'm doing this on my glass mat, so I don't worry about staining anything, although you know your finger's going to be properly stained, so don't worry. So you've got that. You're blending foam on foam, so it's actually quite easy to do that. Now with the oil pastel, the easiest way I found is to scribble some of your pastels on your working surface like a glass mat, and then make sure that your sponge is just a little bit wet, and then pick up some of that colour with your sponge, okay? And then I will dab it in the centre of my foam. I'm not sure if you can see, but I've added some of that yellow in the centre. This foam is you know, it's a slightly kind of darker colour, so it's a bit more tricky to see. And then if you have some of the splodges from other colour, just blend it out. All right. As I said, this doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to be doing things to this. So you're going to be scrunching it, etc. Right, now we need to do the exactly same procedure with all of those petals. So let me just do that. And whilst I'm doing this, those of you who asked about wanting to have foam, to have more foam, just say again, 20% off on the Craftbox website. Help me get rid of the foam. So there's not that much to move when we move on the 20th of November into the new office. I'm going to have an office warming party, I think, because I've been waiting for this for over a year. Cannot wait till we move in. It's a really, really lovely office in a really lovely building. It used to be an old church, they think. Right, okay, so that one. Do that one as well, both sides. Again, blend it out. You see how easy it is to blend? Just tap it. You don't even have to be precise. You literally just tap it and then you blend it. And it's just perfectly coloured every time. Here we go. And that one. So I think I'm going to do 5. I'm going to do yellow in a second, but I think I'm going to do 5. We will see. That one. Oh, that red looks beautiful. And this colour that I'm colouring on now, that I'm blending the colour on now, this is peach. The darkest one was a blackberry yogurt, which is my favourite for like really vintage flowers. So I've made this one with blackberry yogurt, for example, and inside was yellow and outside was pink, and just looks beautiful and vintage with those gold stamens. Is lovely. And then there was another one. Oh no, not yet. I've got ivory as well. You make it look so easy, Anna. Ah, no, it's easy. It is easy. Promise. It's easy. Super easy. Okay, here we go. And then I will probably take one light one. Did I say we're going to do 5? So I'm just going to do this one, and you can see how nicely this blends as well. Don't worry about the center. Don't worry, it looks really light in center. We're going to use our yellow there, so that will be fine. And also, if you have like a blending sponge, a blending foam, that really helps. I mean, I've always done it with this, and that's really easy. Also, even just a kitchen sponge works fine. Gio and I did a workshop together, and we were using just a cut up kitchen sponge, and it worked perfectly fine. All right, last one. I did say 6. I did say 5. I'm gonna do 6, just because I'm thinking I may need it. You do need quite a few layers for your rose. It's like a real life demo. And obviously your fingers are going to be properly stained. Good job I'm not going anywhere tomorrow. Oh no, I am going to lunch with my friend tomorrow. Oh, bummer. She's going to like, who did you murder? Oh, nothing. Just blending flowers. Right, okay. That's that. A little bit more yellow. A little dumpy sponge, she says. Pick up colour and then just use that in the centre. If you made a big splodge, you can blend it out just like I have now. Super easy. Okay, that one in the centre, that one in the centre, blend it out, and do that exactly the same thing with all of them. Obviously on different colors it's going to show differently. Okay, fabulous. I will leave that without because I'm going to use it for the center. Okay, now what you're going to need to carry on with this, unless you do Blue Peter, who is the one I made earlier. Yeah, I'm afraid I haven't done that. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to take a little bit of a kitchen foil, and you're going to scrunch it in a little pyramid. Hi, Jen. Is that the one you had on the Hochanda show? I love that one. Which one? Oh, I'm confused. Right, okay. So you're going to take a little bit of a kitchen foil. I'm going to need a little bit more. All right. Just a little bit more. That is probably way too much, but that's fine. We will manage. Okay. So you need to make a little kiss, like those Hershey's kisses. If you don't have oil pastels, there's something else you can use. You can use inks, Dawn. You can use inks. That works. You can use chalks as well. That works as well. So Hershey's kisses. So just make yourself a little pyramid. That just always reminds me of Hershey's kisses. Chocolates. Okay, and what you're going to do with the petal that's going to make your bud, you're going to heat up your iron. You're going to heat it up on your iron rather. Just going to take this away, move this to this side. Okay, and then just going to heat this up till it's ready. I probably could have done with a little bit more, but that's fine. Your finger's going to get super inky, so don't worry about it. Be prepared or use gloves. And you're going to do exactly the same kind of rolling motion like we did with the our first kind of trial flower. So we're just going to roll that in our fingers, and we're going to make this into a bud. You are going to need your heat gun at the ready, definitely so. Okay, so now that you scrunched it, so remember the very first layer is your bud, and you're going to scrunch it and you're going to roll it in your fingers. You don't have to worry about the center because no one's going to see this. You're going to stretch the bottom of the petal again, just so that you have a bit more space to glue onto your aluminum foil. Okay, take your glue gun. I'm just trying to play with the wires here. Okay, and in the center, put a nice big blob of glue. Now you don't have to be precious with this one as you do with the other one. Just nice big blob of glue in the center, like so. Okay, and let it dry. And now what you're going to do, you're going to start folding them and overlapping each other. So again, you need your glue gun. That should be okay now. Just hold it like this. That's easiest. I found the easiest. Take this petal, just fold it to the back. Put a little bit of glue across the entirety of that pyramid, and then stick that on. Okay, that is your very first petal that you stuck on. This is a bit of a process, so bear with. Now, what you're going to do now is you're going to fold gently that part here, because that will have to be underneath the second petal. So that's what we're going to do. You can now put a little bit of glue here, just to make it easy. If you're only just starting, you may want to glue the whole thing, and then just add that glue here. And then that will make it easier for you to stick the next petal down. All right, so for the second petal, what you're going to do, you're going to put a little bit of glue around that area where the aluminum foil meets with that first petal, and then you will stick that down. So now you have 2 petals. All right, okay. You're going to do exactly the same thing with the remaining 3. Now, if you have a situation like I've got here, where one is start to pull, then you may want to take a pair of scissors, which I definitely had handy. Where are those little suckers? Alright, doesn't matter. I'm just going to tear the foam because it's just... Oh, okay. You may just want to cut this a little bit here just to make it easier for you to then fold it. Okay, so I am going just to put a little bit of glue there just to adhere this second petal, and then a little bit more, and then fold the third one, always overlapping the part of the previous petal. Okay, so this is where we are. This is how you make it. I found that making the bud is the most tricky part. Okay, now we almost there. You can, if you wanted to, cut off the 5th petal and not bother and only have 4. I will see how I get on. I usually just do it with 5, and then if 4 is enough, then I just then cut it off in the process. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of glue and then just put it there and fold the 3rd petal so we got that bud already, and take one more petal, put a little bit of glue in the center and overlap this. Okay, now it looks like I'm going to be okay without this one. However, this is a bit of a trick here. Whoops, I nearly fell off my chair. So this is where we are. Now, if you can see here, we have one petal here. I just really want this to zoom in. One petal here and one here. Okay, I can cut off this petal and then overlap these two, and this is exactly what I'm going to do, except just instead of cutting it off, I'm going to rip it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the 5th petal to meet with the other ones to have a center like this. Okay, so you don't have to, you can leave it as it is now, but I'm just going to indulge into this process here. Okay, so I've made this now and overlapped it like that just to make a really nice bud. Okay, and this is my bud. I might just fix it a little bit and just adhere there. I really shouldn't have touched it that closely. Okay. I am going to zoom in because I want to show you the colouring of this, because you can see we've got this lovely, ignore this, no one's going to see this. No, we have this beautiful graduation of colour. Let me just see if we can make sure it's not too blurry. So we have this lovely graduation of colour and we have our lovely bud. Alright? Okay, so that was the centre. If you can see a little bit of the tin foil, that may not be something that you want to see. You may want to take a little bit of glue in the very centre and then just close the bud together. I usually do this at the very end. I'm not that bothered. Okay, but you know, to finish the flower off and make it really nice and pretty, you may want to do that. Okay, with this second layer, you will do something fairly similar. However, you are going to not go as close to the actual tip of your rose, because we're going to start working on this open look. So if you look at mine, you see I have this bud here, and then when I start applying the rest of the petals, I only started applying them at the bottom. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So the second petal I'm going to put on my iron like that, and it's nice and warm. I'm going to scrunch it quickly. Really going to have to do some serious scrubbing with my my hands. And this is where you're going to use a different technique. Not of the scrunching. I'll show you in a second what I mean. Okay. You've got that scrunched petal. This is the only one I'm going to be scrunching, I think, afterwards. We will see. I always say that, but you never know. Right, I'm going to stretch the bottom of that petal. Okay. And again, if you tear one, don't worry. I say that because I kind of feel the limits of the foam and I'm thinking, oh, is it going to tear? It's going to tear. Okay. And what I'm going to do with the actual tips, I'm going to curl them. This is how you do it. To curl the tips, let me just have a look at this. Yeah, I know where they're going to go. To curl the tips, you are going to touch it to the iron, like that, and then just leave it there for a second, and it will curl almost automatically. Okay, and then you will just take that tip and just gonna roll it. So I'm not sure if you can see that, and please excuse my very inky fingers, but you're just gonna roll the bottom, the very tip of the petal on both sides. If you have a pointy petal like I do, you're gonna do it on both sides. If it's rounded, like on the actual rose dye, you can just roll the whole thing. Okay, and you're going to do that with all the petals. So just touch it, and it will almost kind of curl on its own. Well, it will curl on its own, and just let the iron work with you or for you. Okay, just going to do the same with that. Roll, roll. Okay, and then the other two. Sorry guys, my iron cord is not very long. That's the only flaw of this iron. And the last one, I'm just going to try to do this in shot so you can see. Okay, here we go. That's the last one. And then roll it. Okay, here we go. That's pretty much done, I think. You are going to be adjusting it as you go anyway. Alright, okay, so you're going to take a glue gun again, and in the center put nice big blob. You don't have to worry about threading any stamens through here. And then you'll place the bud in the center. Okay, and when it's nice and dry, we're going to start folding these petals on top. Right, okay, so put a little bit of glue. Now, you're not going to be putting glue across the entire bud. You want to put the glue just on the kind of bottom part. If it's not enough glue, you can adjust it afterwards. So just going to add a little bit of glue there, and then fold this here. And you can see it fits quite snugly. So if you want this to be a little bit more open, you can just roll the petal, and because you haven't glued it all the way, it will, you know, you can do that. Okay, just going to make it a little bit like so. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the remaining 5. Okay, and you already see you started to get this lovely rose shape. Oh, this is going to be lovely, and it's been coloured beautifully as well. And you can see it really didn't matter that I had several colours of foam. Okay, and the last one, you can cover the whole thing, and I think that will look nice. So I'm going to cover both. I'm going to cover both parts of my petal. So I'm just going to put some glue in between those two, and then place my 5th petal just over it. Have a look at that. So this is where we are. Some cobwebs around, but it doesn't matter too much. Okay, that was petal number 2. We're going to do exactly the same with the remaining ones. Maybe I will take a slightly different colour. Nah, I'm just going to carry on with this. Just going to heat this one up. Okay, that was super quick. And then get this one. I said I'm not going to scratch them, but you know I am going to scratch them. Just very quickly, not going to scratch them too much. Just give them a little bit of a definition. Okay, and then unravel it and then start stretching. The stretching part is something you should not skip. Okay, stretch. Stretch. I'm just reading your comments now. Thank you so much, Dawn and Michelle and Pam and everyone. Thank you so much for your purchases. Really much appreciated. Okay, and then we will do exactly the same with the petals again. And you can see, so it's going to start coming together beautifully. All right, so I'm going to apply heat to the petal and then just roll it. Now I am going to roll it a bit lower this time, because I want the rose to get more and more open as we go. So I'm not going to just roll the actual tip like we did here. I'm going to roll them a bit lower and do the same one on all the petals. I hope you can see that. Just let the iron work for you. It's just the starting of the rolling process is the most tricky one. Okay, the next one. I love making Foamiran flowers. I just wish I had a little bit more time for this. Okay, 2 more. I have some dies that are similar. Sorry, Anna. So going to try this first. I am so excited. As you can see, I don't get out much. Oh, I don't get out much either. We should like start a club. We do not get out much. I'm just at home at the moment, working all the time. I do quite enjoy it, but the work-life balance is definitely not there at the moment. So I'm looking forward to the office, and it would be nice to have an office. Right, so that just rolling this one, the 5th one, and then again we are going to take glue, nice big dollop in the middle. And then our bud goes in the center. Oh, blooming fireworks. Okay, just like so. And then we can start closing it. So now I'm going to be putting the glue actually quite low. And I need another glue stick. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue quite low there. And then apply my petal, because we want that rose to start opening up. Beautiful. Okay. Just gonna grab that. And the last one in between, put my glue gun somewhere nice and safe, and then we have this already. Okay, now if some bits are sticking out, take a little bit of glue, and then wherever you feel like, you know, hold it, wherever you feel, oh, this one is kind of sticking out a little bit, take a little bit of glue and then just put a little dab so that it sticks nicely, and then it is the shape that you want. I just lost my stick, glue stick. It's on the floor. Ooh. Here we go. Let me just take that in. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the side here, just a tiny bit, because I want this to be beautifully aligned. Perfect. This is what I wanted. Hold it for a second. Here we go. So this is where we are with our rose. Okay, now I am going to now take another one, and I'm going to do something slightly different, and we will see how that's going to turn out. To get a tea rose like this, you are going to have some bits, you can see on this one actually here, that are stuck and are, you know, curled, that are really stuck to the petal, and some that are open. And this is what I'm going to start doing now. I'm going to start making those open bits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some heat to the entire die cut. I hope you can see that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply it once again to every single petal individually until it curls quite a lot. Come on, iron, kick in. The iron doesn't want to kick in. You may need to have your setting quite high, and I am going to change it to 3 dots. I'm going to change it to cotton. So just gonna, and when it gets really, really hot, you're only gonna need about a moment there. Oh, fabulous. Okay, so you want that a little bit of melt on your petal. Can you see that? That's what I want. And I'm going to do that with every single one of them, and that will just take very, very short moment. So be mindful of that, because your iron is now very, very hot. I hope you can see that. Shot, I'm sorry. Okay, and I'm going to do that with the remaining petals. So just heat this up. 1, just on the side. 2, wait till it melts a little bit on the very hot iron. Be careful with your fingers. And 5. Okay. And we will see if we need the last one, but for now this should be sufficient. I am going just to stretch the bottom so that it's easier for me to work with, but you saw that I didn't manipulate this at all because it's going to be nice and sturdy. Okay, going to take my glue gun, and I'm going to place do I want the light one on the outside? Yeah, I want the light one on the outside. I'm going to place my bud in the center again, just like so. Just making sure that it is perfect. Okay, and now I'm going to start closing those curled down petals. Oh, come on, glue stick, are you serious? This is my glue stick that's very, very stubborn. This is the only downside of this glue gun. The glue sticks are not sticking. Right, just gonna put a little bit of glue. Yeah, I've lost my glue stick again. A little bit of glue here, and you can see how we start to get that lovely open tea rose look. Alright, do the same one with the other ones, overlapping them at the same time. Husband is cooking dinner. I think we're getting chicken goujons. I never know how to pronounce that word. Okay, so you can see I'm starting to get this beautiful open rose. And then I'm going to take this one, pop that one down, and then place that one here. Perfect. And I'm going to start applying the rest of my petal. This may or may not be the last layer, we will see. But just to the bottom of that previous petal, just like we did before every single time, I'm going to apply this one. And here, this one. And then this one. and here, and then the last one. I've squashed the actual bud, but that's fine. We will get that through. Okay, so here we go. This is how it's looking. What I'm going to do, I think we need a fifth one just to finish this off. So I am going to heat this one up. And then I'm going to just do each of the petals like we did last time. Just nice and melted. I hope you can see that. See the process. Okay, it's done in no time, this bit. A little bit of glue. The last bit. This petal is quite light because that was one of the lightest colours. I am going to make sure that it will go kind of in betweeny, like that. Alright, just to place that in the centre. And then here we go. That will just finish this off beautifully. And that will make this lovely tea rose look. So the petals at the bottom are much more sturdy. Okay, just going to add another one here. So you see, I'm not overlapping anymore. I'm just literally making sure it's all nicely tucked in. And I'm just going to shape this with my fingers just from the bottom, like that. Make sure everything is stuck properly. Here we go. That's our rose. It's darker in the centre and it's lighter on the outside. Now the last thing I'm going to, this is how it looks at the bottom, because you see we've been scrunching that at all times, just keeping this nice and firm. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to make a the petal, the kind of, so not petal, leaf. So what you're going to do, you're going to take a little bit of foam, you're going to heat it up. All right, then what you're going to do, you're going to fold it. And then I want to say take your scissors, but these are the scissors that I've missed somewhere. So please bear with me if I'm trying to locate them. Oh, got it. Thank goodness me. So you're going to take a pair of scissors, and then just when you have that folded, don't scrunch it, but instead fold it in really nicely, okay, so that the petals are perfectly aligned with each other, and you'll see why in a second. This one is a little stubborn, so I'm going to give it a little tear. Perfect. So that's really nicely aligned. What you're going to do, you're going to take your scissors, like a tiny little scissors will probably do best, and you're going to cut it just like so around that entire petal. You're going to cut just a tiny little slits into that petal. Fab. And when you have that done, you're going to roll it and you're going to scrunch it. Just be careful, because now you've got lots of those little bits kind of sticking out, so just be mindful of that. Okay, just try to keep it all together. Try to keep it together, everyone. Try to keep it together. Okay, you don't need much. And then you can unravel it. I wouldn't stretch it out too much. Just take your glue gun, put a nice dollop of glue, and use exactly for the green leaf. Use exactly the same size of a die as you use to create your rose. Don't make it bigger, don't make it smaller, because otherwise it's going to be out of shape. And here you go. You've got your beautiful rose. You can see what a time-consuming process it is, but it's not very complicated, and it really comes with practice, especially when it comes to those tea roses. If you wanted to make a wild rose, for example, what you would do, you wouldn't every time you do a layer, every time you do a petal, you would scrunch it up and then just apply it like we were applying those. So you wouldn't just heat it up and just like almost melt half of the petal. You would just scrunch it up and then just keep building that rose. It would be much more closed and much more kind of rugged looking. I will show you an example. So for example, like this one, you can see that is very different to this one. Hope we can zoom in. Here we go. So this is like much more rugged looking, because all I've been doing is just building it up from that kind of rugged look, from that scrunched petal rather, not rugged look. So this is how you start with Foamiran. I am going to show you a very final thing, how to make something like this, because it's just a slightly different type of fold. You might not fold, but like kind of scrunch. And so the flower we made earlier on with just like a rolling motion is this one. You can see that this one is very different, and I'm going to quickly show you how. The way you do this, you take your petal, take your iron, again apply to the iron, it's always the same drill. 1, 2, 3. You fold it in half again, you fold it again here. And then what you're going to do, rather than, well, you also roll it, but rather than scrunching it, you are going to twist it like that. Across the entire length, you will just be twisting it. Okay? So you still kind of folded it, you still rolled it together, but now you're going to twist it. You're not doing this anymore, you're doing this. And when it's sufficiently twisted, you're going to unravel it and have that very different look just by changing one thing. All right, so here you go. And then you'll do one layer after layer after layer. On this one, I think we have, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers here. This is coloured flower as well, but this is how you achieve that petal. So it's very different look, super easy. And yeah, here we go. So I really hope that you enjoyed this, that it was informative. This is definitely the most time consuming, but it's also one of the most rewarding and beautiful things that you can make. So give that a go. Show me your creations and craft boxes, please. If you're not part of a craft boxes group, and you are a Craftbox customer, then please by all means join us. It's facebook.com/craftboxes, and I really enjoy doing this, and I hope you enjoy being here, and I will see you again very soon. Thank you. Bye.